Welcome to my channel, USA Battle Zone. Today I'm about to share a story that isn't just about war, or about soldiers, or about helicopters and firepower. It's about a moment, 1 second in time that changed everything. And it begins with a young woman who wasn't supposed to be anywhere near the battlefield. The desert wind carried dust across the outpost, where UH-64 Apache helicopters sat like coiled predators, engines cooling after another brutal sortie. The soldiers moved with the rhythm of exhaustion, refueling, rearming, double-checking weapons systems under the blistering sun. Among them, moving with quiet purpose, was Lena. She wasn't a pilot. She wasn't special forces. She wasn't even supposed to be here. Her job: loading ammunition, carrying the crates, strapping down the Hellfire missiles, sliding belts of 30mm rounds into place. She did it with a determination that stunned the others. Because Lena was smaller than most of the men around her, almost fragile at first glance, her dark hair tied back beneath a dusty cap, sweat dripping down her face. But her eyes carried something unshakable. The Apache she was working on belonged to Captain Michael Reeves. Reeves was a legend in the unit. The kind of pilot whose name was whispered by rookies and admired by veterans. He had saved convoys, neutralized ambushes, and flown missions others would never dare. But he was also cold, detached. War had stripped him of softness, leaving only steel. He'd seen Lena before, of course. A civilian volunteer who'd insisted on helping. Everyone knew her story in fragments. She had no family left, no home to return to. War had taken it all. So she gave herself to the mission, finding meaning in the only place left: the battlefield. That day, as she leaned against the Apache's side, sweat making tracks in the dust on her skin, she pulled her sleeve back to wipe her forehead. And that's when Captain Reeves saw it. A tattoo. At first, just the dark curl of ink beneath her skin. Then the whole design as the sleeve rode up. His heart stuttered, his breath caught in his throat. Because it wasn't just any tattoo. It was classified. He knew it instantly. A black insignia that had been scrubbed from official records. A mark that was given only to members of an experimental reconnaissance unit, one that had been disbanded years ago after a mission so catastrophic the government buried it in classified files. Reeves froze. His hands, still gripping the refueling hose, went slack. His eyes locked on her arm. Lena didn't notice at first. She kept working, muscles straining as she pushed another crate of ammo toward the weapon's mount. But then she felt his gaze, sharp and unrelenting. She looked up, her expression neutral, almost guarded. "You," his voice cracked. "Where did you get that tattoo?" For a moment, everything around them seemed to fade. The clamor of mechanics, the whine of tools, even the wind, all of it dropped away. Lena glanced at her arm, then back at him. Her jaw tightened. "You weren't supposed to see that," she said softly. Reeves stepped closer, lowering his voice but unable to hide the tremor in it. "That unit was erased. I was told everyone in it, everyone was gone." Lena's eyes, dark and unflinching, met his. Not everyone. The weight of those two words hit him harder than any missile blast. Because he knew what that meant. She wasn't just a volunteer. She wasn't just a civilian who had lost everything. She was a ghost from the past. A survivor of something so secret, so devastating, that even speaking of it could bury them both. And suddenly, the pieces clicked. Her skill with loading. The way she carried herself. The silence in her eyes. She wasn't just strong because of tragedy. She was trained, hardened, built from the ashes of missions no one dared to remember. The classified tattoo wasn't just ink. It was a brand of sacrifice. Reeves stepped back, his chest heavy. For the first time in years, he felt the ground shift beneath him, not from an explosion, but from truth. That night, he couldn't sleep. He sat in the cockpit long after the others had gone, staring at the controls, the dim glow of gauges lighting his face. His thoughts were consumed by Lena. What had she seen? What had she survived? And why was she here, hiding among them, carrying boxes when she should have been commanding entire operations? The next day, he found her again. She was sitting by the edge of the landing pad, staring out at the desert horizon where the sun bled into gold. He sat beside her, the silence heavy between them. "You were part of the Black Raptor program," he finally said. Her head turned slowly. "You know too much," she whispered. I know enough to understand what that tattoo means. And I know that if you're here, then there's a reason. People don't survive what you survived and just disappear into the dust. Her hands clenched in her lap. The black raptors were never supposed to exist. They told us we were invisible, disposable, and when it all went wrong, they made sure the world forgot. But forgetting doesn't erase the memories. Doesn't erase the faces of the ones who didn't make it. Her voice cracked on the last word, and for the first time, Reeves saw the armor around her heart falter. You lost them, he murmured. She nodded, tears glinting but not falling. All of them. Reeves looked away, his throat tight. He thought of his own crew, of friends he had lost, of the way war stripped everything until all that was left was pain and steel. He understood her silence now. Her determination. She wasn't just loading ammo to help. She was fighting her war in the only way she could, quietly, relentlessly, refusing to break. Over the following weeks, something shifted between them. He would find her by the Apache, working tirelessly, and he would help. Together they loaded missiles, checked systems, and in those small, wordless moments, something unspoken passed between them. A recognition, a shared grief, a trust, and then came the mission. The base came under attack at dawn. Mortars pounded the sand, enemy trucks swarmed the perimeter, and the sky lit up with tracer fire. Reeves sprinted to his Apache, Lena already there, shoving belts of ammo into place with a ferocity that left no doubt. She wasn't going to stand aside. You shouldn't be here, he shouted over the roar of engines. She looked up at him, sweat and dust streaking her face, eyes blazing. I survived worse than this. I'm not running now. For a moment, time stopped. He saw her nod as the quiet volunteer, not as the ghost of a classified past, but as what she truly was, one of the strongest soldiers he had ever met. The battle raged. Reeves lifted the Apache into the sky, missiles streaking into enemy positions, cannons thundering. From the ground, Lena coordinated, dragging crates, directing fire, even grabbing a fallen rifle when the perimeter broke. Hours felt like days, but by sunset, the base held. The enemy retreated. Smoke curled into the orange sky. Reeves landed the Apache, his body trembling from exhaustion, his heart pounding with something he couldn't name. He found Lena sitting on a crate, her face streaked with grime, her hands raw. She looked up at him, and for the first time since he'd known her, she smiled. Not wide, not bright, but real. You froze when you saw the tattoo, she said softly. I froze because I saw the truth, he answered. Because I realized I wasn't the only ghost still walking. Her eyes softened, and in that moment, amidst the smoke and ruin, they weren't just soldiers. They weren't just survivors. They were human again, and that's the part of war no one tells you. That sometimes, in the middle of the fire and loss, you find someone who understands. Someone who carries the same scars. Someone who reminds you that you're not alone. So if you take anything from this story, let it be this. Heroes aren't always the ones flying the helicopters or leading the charge. Sometimes they're the ones loading the ammo, carrying the weight no one sees, hiding tattoos that tell stories too painful to speak. Lena's tattoo wasn't just ink. It was a reminder that even the forgotten still fight. That even ghosts can choose to live. And in the eyes of Captain Reeves, she wasn't just another volunteer. She was proof that even in the darkest battles, hope survives. Thank you for watching this story. If it moved you, if it made you stop and think about the unseen battles people carry inside them, then don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe. Because here on USA Battle Zone, we don't just tell stories of war. We tell stories of the human heart.